Hackney, like many other areas across London and beyond, we've had to really think hard about what support and measures we can put in place to reinvigorate the local economy. The particular challenge that we've had is the majority of businesses in Hackney are either micro or SME businesses, over 90%. And as we know, those small businesses were particularly impacted by the pandemic. But I have to say, through the support provided via government, in terms of direct grants to businesses and some of the measures that we put in place locally, I think we've recovered fairly well. But the big lesson that we've taken from the pandemic is the old offer within town centres and high streets just doesn't cut it anymore. Really have to be creative and really think hard locally about what it is people want. Partly because you can pretty much offer anything, order anything online now to your door. So, there's a big opportunity, we feel, certainly around the culture piece and enhancing that offer. And that brings footfall to our town centres and areas across the borough. That involves, promoting local business quite strongly, via our Love Hackney brand. In Hackney Central, for example, the Hackney Empire, which is just next door to us in the town hall here, have a full programme of events and activities running now throughout the year. Lots of shows, catering for all parts of the market, really. We've got Hackney Library, which we had half term a couple of weeks ago, and it was rammed with children every day. There's lots of people who come into Hackney Central, walk through to London Fields at the weekend to explore our award-winning markets. So again, it's just that variety of the food offer, the beverage offer, and generally really trying to think about culture and what it is people want to see.
And you're looking particularly at the moment at Dalston and Hackney Central. Tell me what the plans are for those two.
So if we start with Dalston, Dalston is one of those communities in Hackney, typical Hackney, if you like. Rich mix of people, long-standing communities, but also, lots of sort of new communities that have popped up over the last 10 or 15 years. And we've also got the historic sort of Ridley Road market in Hackney, which we've invested heavily in as a council to improve over the last few years. But in terms of opportunities, we've run what we call the Dalston conversation, where we've really tried to talk to the local community to understand what it is that they want us to deliver versus what we think they want. And that involved engagement of somewhere in the region of 5,000 people from the local area, talking about Ridley Road Market, talking about the wider sort of shopping offer, talking about our plans for Kingsland Shopping Centre. Well, I say our plans, but it's actually owned by Criterion Capital. But it's been there have been long-running plans for Dalston Kingsland Shopping Centre that have been bogged down due to COVID and sort of economic challenges. But in addition to that, we have invested in the street scene, so trying to green the area as much as possible, given how busy an area it is. But also been thinking quite heavily about places like Gillett Square, and again, how we can sort of broaden the offer for those who live in the area, but also those who visit Dalston. I think to be fair, we've probably still got a bit of a way to go to make it a space for the whole community. But actually, there is a sort of new development springing up, and we're looking to sort of bring to life, ground floor uses, restaurant, mostly sort of food and beverage type offers. But as I said, it's really important that we make it open and accessible to the whole community, and that's definitely something that we are looking at. And in terms of Hackney Central, so Hackney Central, lots of exciting things happening in Hackney Central. And I should say that we were successful recently in securing £19 million of funding via the Levelling Up Fund from government, looking to cover off a number of areas. So firstly, looking to improve Pembury Circus, which is a really busy junction in Hackney Central along Amherst Road, to for want of a better turn of phrase, looking at traffic calming measures. It's quite a busy area. We're also looking to invest in the cultural offering in Hackney Central through that bid. So I mentioned Hackney Library, Hackney Central Library earlier, and we are looking to make improvements to the library. We are looking to make improvements to the square along the Narrowway to the east. And thirdly, we are looking to bring back into use on-use spaces to prioritise affordable workspace, but also look to see where we can bring to life those underutilised spaces in Hackney. If you look in Hackney Central, if you look along Mayor Street, there's lots of opportunities to broaden the offer. The street frontages aren't very active in terms of a variety of uses. You kind of have to go off the beaten track in Hackney Central a bit to find the really nice places to eat, the really nice coffee shops. So we definitely see that as an opportunity, certainly along Mayor Street. And I guess the other thing to say, lots to say about Hackney Central. The other thing to say is we are really keen to identify a partner to work with us to bring forward the development or the redevelopment of 55 Morning Lane. So it's a site in Hackney Central that the council acquired about 5 or 6 years ago. Currently, a Tesco store is located on it, but the council owns a site, and it's a really exciting opportunity. And part of the reason why the council took the decision to acquire the site was its location, smack bang in the middle of Hackney Central, the need for us as the council to be in control of what comes forward there, but also to take on a level of responsibility to engage the local community. So we really want to regenerate Hackney Central, really want to improve footfall much more, even though it's in a pretty good place now, much more than where we are now. But actually, that can't come at any costs. So, managing the conversation with local communities, making sure that what comes forward is something that they would also like to see and feel like they've got a stake in. So we're looking at a proper mixed-use development. We will be looking to, again, prioritise workspace, affordable where possible, but bring a variety of uses. The thing about Hackney Central is it's very connected. It's got Hackney Central Station, Hackney Downs not too far away. Lots of buses run through this part of Hackney, so it's easy to get to. But actually, the makeup of the area isn't conducive and isn't supportive to pedestrians, walking as freely as they might and getting to these places. So, through the development of a major town centre site, such as 55 Morning Lane, that definitely gives us the opportunity to look more broadly. And then on the other side of the train line, we've got Clapton Bus Garage, which it's designated for mixed use, including residential development in our local plan. So again, lots of exciting opportunities with two major sites in the borough. And in addition to that, we're in the town hall at the moment having this conversation, but around the town hall there are a number of sites that are in the council's ownership. So we brought on board a consultant team to work with us to develop a delivery plan for the sites in the town centre. We've got a Floorfield Road depot, we've got the town centre car park, at the town hall car park, sorry, and a few smaller sites in between. So lots of opportunity in Hackney Central, but the key thing, as I said, is we recognise that we can't bring all these sites forward on our own. So I think going forward, partnership and bringing those sites forward in partnership is really key for us.
What are the issues you're facing here in terms of delivering the number of houses you need?
When I'm asked this question, I think back over the last say 15 years, going back to the financial crash in 2007, 2008. We've then got, coalition government, we had austerity, we had the referendum vote to leave the European Union, we've had COVID, and underpinning all of that, we've had this, the climate emergency. So all of those sort of instances and issues are major in their own right, but when you bring them all together over the last 15 years, and then you take on top of that the impact that COVID has had on the economy. We've got the war in Ukraine at the moment, and we see where inflation has got to, and then we've got policies coming forward, such as the requirement for there to be second staircases in tall buildings. We've got all of the additional, rightly so, fire and building safety issues and regulations on the back of Grenfell, which again, major incident I didn't mention earlier. It makes for a recipe of disaster if you want to deliver any housing or any new housing. And certainly when I was at the GLA, it just became progressively difficult. And being creative and trying to use the Mayor of London's convening power and his investment pots to unlock delivery was the order of the day, really. But for a local authority where you have so many statutory duties, where you're trying to, as we are, maintain and manage a housing stock of circa 32,000 homes, about 10,000 of which are leaseholders but within council blocks, and 21 or 22,000 council tenanted properties, while you're trying to build new homes as a local authority. It's very difficult, extremely difficult. And yes, a part of it is the financial and the economics of the scheme and viability, and especially as a local authority when you're trying to maximise delivery of social rent and social housing. The maths and the economics of schemes makes that very, very difficult. And that's certainly the picture, well, certainly when I was at the GLA, the picture I saw emerging for some time across London. But I think the challenge in Hackney as well is one of affordability. Over the last 10 or 15 years, we've seen some of the highest rates of house price growth of any local authority area in the country. And you may say that on the one hand, that has benefited Hackney greatly in terms of economic prosperity, but then the paradox is we've got some of the highest levels of deprivation at the same time in Hackney. So it's almost like there's two Hackneys. So there's a massive challenge around affordability, which leads to challenges around equity and people feeling like they've got a stake in the prosperity of the area, and it's not getting any easier. So I've just outlined a lot of problems there, a lot of reasons why. But one of the solutions is, again, as a local authority, seeing how we can work in partnership with others. It's not a secret for me to say that, council-led direct delivery is more expensive and costs more as a local authority when we try to build versus when, private developers or housing associations try to build. Why? Because they've got the economies of scale. A lot of them, operate across London. They've got the supply chains they've got access to that we haven't. So, there is a role for us to continue doing direct delivery ourselves, to deliver new council homes, which we are doing. But certainly on the more sort of major sites, where the opportunities are that bit broader, like our town centre sites, sharing that risk through partnership and, calling on the expertise of external partners is going to be crucial if we're going to deliver anything.
Sure. Well, Riccardo, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Peter. Good to talk to you.